With the end ever so near, the sun is starting to set. The hour is at hand, and the chill of anticipation is building with every episode. Who will we lose? Who will win the next battle? Will friend or foe sit on the throne? Will death be avenged? If so, by who? Can a minor character turn the tides and make a real difference? Or will our favorite characters meet their end? What about those that were once evil but now good? Does that evil once again rear its ugly head? Or will there be a come-to-truth moment for a character we thought to be irredeemable? Well, that's what we're here to discuss, with the 5 remarkable predictions about Season 8, Episode 5 of Game of Thrones. The Iron Fleet is destroyed. We know during the preview of Season 8, Episode 5, Euron Greyjoy is waiting in the waters outside of King's Landing, when his look goes from unconcerned to possibly distressed by what he sees as he looks over Blackwater Bay. But what does he see? And why the distressed look? Judging by this look, we can assume it's nothing good. I'd go as far as to say he's looking at something he definitely was not expecting. So what do we predict? Glad you asked. For this we have 2 predictions. The first is Khaleesi and Drogon. We know that Rhaegal was killed by Euron with the ballista, which was prepared to do just that. Kill Khaleesi's dragons. Now knowing the dangers Drogon would face if brought to bear upon the Iron Fleet or even King's Landing, Khaleesi must not only figure a way to attack them both, but also defend the last of her children. And there is only one way we see this happening: armor. That's right, we predict that Drogon will be armored during the next episode. And the worry you see on Euron's face is just that. The look of a man whose flight or fight response has just been activated. Because he knows the only weapon he has, or should I say had, against the dragons is now useless. And his butt is pretty much toast, pun intended. The second is Yara Greyjoy and the Dorne fleet. When the War Council commenced after the long night of the White Walker attack, Khaleesi was informed that the Dorne's new ruler was offering Dorne support in the invasion of King's Landing. Besides that, Yara, more than likely after hearing the heroic death of her brother, decided to throw her hat into the fight. And let's be honest, she's been looking to devour Euron's soul after her humiliating defeat and capture due to his treacherous ambitions. The Mountain is killed, or should we say taken out of his misery. While we can't say the Mountain is alive, we can say that the target on his back is that of a bright yellow sign. We do know that Arya and the Hound are on their way to King's Landing, and the Hound has been waiting to do his brother in for quite some time, which would be the obvious end to the zombified giant. But this is Game of Thrones, and nothing is that simple. While we are not saying the fight won't take place, what we are saying is that the Mountain won't be killed by the Hound. And no, we don't think Arya will be the Mountain's Huckleberry either. Looking back at Episode 4, we watched as Khaleesi see Missandei murdered, who was not only her top assistant, but also her best friend. Actually, the only female friend Khaleesi has ever had. And the scar that left cut deep, real deep, almost devastating. But nope, she's not going to kill the Mountain either. We predict it will be Grey Worm. Think about it. This man, a eunuch, and let's face it, gave up the thought of ever being with a woman, let alone loving a woman, found love with Missandei. The story of their love spread throughout the past 2 to 3 seasons of Game of Thrones. They watched each other grow as the campaign of the Dragon Queen progressed. She tended to his wounds after the ambush of the Harpies. He told her the horrible details of how he became the leader of the unsullied. He not only proclaimed his love to her, but he also gave the reason why he thought they couldn't be together due to him being a eunuch. And she accepted that. The first and only love he has ever known. She was his everything. I would go as far as to say the whole reason he stayed this long with Khaleesi. As he stated in the past episode, after the Dragon Queen takes the throne, he and his men would go back to Missandei's island to be their protection, because Missandei's people are so peaceful. The pure horror in his eyes as the mountain beheaded his love, his woman, his life, was that of a man who would burn down the world around him to get to the one person responsible for his loss. And although the mountain was just taking orders, and they say the thirst of revenge is unsatisfying, the sheer will it inspires is only second to the love he lost. Now, how he does it, we can't say. But we're definitely putting our money on Grey Worm to bring down that mountain. Lord Varys is killed. In his past episode, Varys expressed his concerns to Tyrion on how Khaleesi's judgment may be flawed and that she may not have the best interests of the people of the Seven Kingdoms in mind, due to the way she wishes to proceed with the attack on King's Landing. To which Tyrion asked, "Where do your loyalties lie?" With the people, not any king or queen. He has always held this position. Now, is it that Tyrion brings this information to Khaleesi, and she responds decisively and swiftly executes Lord Varys? We all know she is obsessed with someone bending the knee to swear loyalty to her as queen. We need only look back to past episodes to those who refuse to do so, and the consequences that they paid for such actions. Even Jon Snow bent the knee before she even considered helping against the White Walkers. But no, that won't be his ending, because even when asked by Khaleesi where does his loyalties lie, he gave the same response: with the people of the Seven Kingdoms. This is the one thing he has always been honest about. It's basically his mantra, and she accepts it. So how will he be killed? The exact way we can't say for sure, but we do predict it will be saving Khaleesi that causes his death. You see, Lord Varys is a smart man, and although it's set up to seem that he may betray the Dragon Queen, he knows that she is far better suited to rule the Seven Kingdoms compared to the evil that now sits on that throne. We see this happening one or two ways. We expect him to throw his lot in with Cersei in the beginning, but due to his conscience and the love of his people, he will have a change of heart and try to mislead Cersei, and his deceit will be discovered, upon which she'll call for his execution. We do know that Lord Varys is a very capable survivor, but our second prediction predicts that during the fight where Khaleesi and Cersei forces meet, he sacrifices himself, taking a death blow that was meant for Khaleesi. Either way, he dies a martyr for the people of the Seven Kingdoms. A fitting death for a character we both loved and hated. Knight Brienne is killed. Although she is sworn to protect the House of Stark, mainly Sansa Stark, because let's be honest, Arya doesn't need it. And when Bran gives her word, you can bet your last dollar she's gonna keep it. But this past episode has brought other forces to bear down on her outcome, mainly in the form of Jaime Lannister. The history of these two did start out rocky, but went from mutual respect to friendship and now possibly love. And for those of you who wish to hate and say, why would Jaime want that? Well, I give you this. Huh? What? Got something to say now? Yeah, I didn't think so. So let's get back to it. Although Jaime has saved her life, and she has also saved his, which to me, fighting a bear and armed men with one hand isn't quite the same as saying a few words. She did save his life when he arrived at Winterfell, so on that end, they're both even. But now, feelings and emotions are in play, And that brings a whole load of new dynamics to both characters' future. We can assume that Jaime is really feeling Brienne, looking at how bad it hurt him to tell her the truth about what he's done for Cersei in the past. Not to mention that same confession brought Brienne to tears because it's obvious she is in love with Jaime. So with that, we predict that Brienne will look for permission to leave Winterfell. Now, whether she tells her true intentions to Lady Sansa or not, we expect Sansa to know her true motives regardless. And just a quick question. Am I the only one who thinks Lady Sansa is totally the new Lord Baelish? She is definitely putting out a Baelishy vibe to me. But I'm off subject. I'm looking for Brienne to pursue her new love interest to King's Landing and will come upon Jaime as he tries to convince Cersei of her mistakes. And upon seeing Brienne, Jaime's facial expressions will give away his true feelings to Cersei concerning how he feels about Brienne, which will immediately enrage Cersei, having her seek out Bronn to eliminate Jaime, which will end with Brienne either taking the killing arrow or sword thrust meant to kill Jaime. There's more than one dragon left. I know in number 5 we only mentioned that Drogon would be wearing armor. But what if I told you there would be more than one dragon in armor? Remember that Khaleesi had 3 dragons, and dragon gender seems to be fluid, being neither male or female. Don't ask. I had to look that up. But what if all this time one of the dragons laid eggs and Khaleesi finally learned to keep it a secret? Because we all remember what happened when she pranced them around when they were too young. They were captured and couldn't escape until they were old enough not to be held captive and run free. Yes, it may sound far-fetched, but it's possible that during the time they were held, they could have made it and produced eggs that has been kept secret up until now. We know that dragon eggs just don't appear out of thin air, and that they can be hatched at basically any time by the right person. So it's not that far of a stretch of the imagination that Khaleesi could have more dragons. And within that scene that you see Euron looking over Blackwater's Bay, that distressed look is confirmation of that. Could you imagine with her arriving with 3 or more dragons that only a few people knew of? Cersei wouldn't be expecting that. How dragons mate? I know not. But what you've got to admit is that that would be remarkable. And now that you know of these remarkable predictions, could you do us a favor and press that subscribe button? Or better yet, press that like button. If you agree or disagree with us, could you please leave a comment? Or even just share the video. We have got to say this last season of Game of Thrones has been remarkable. And although there are only 2 episodes left to the series, we will be bringing you our top predictions for the last and final episode of Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 6. Until then, have a blessed day.